Hey guys, I'm Nashwa. Welcome back to my channel. This video will be a tiny update about my book unhaul process because I feel like if you struggle with unhauling books, I wanted to document it. And another part is just an accidental book haul. Now, first things I wanted to mention that because it's night and I've changed my lights, I'm not really sure about how the camera is focusing, and I'm used to filming in daylight. But right now I just wanted to make this quick little video to just share the update process. So what happened was that I separated some of the books to take to a bookstore, which I'll show you in this vlog style video, and the other half or even more than that is still lying around in our house because my dad has advertised them on OLX, and OLX is basically like our version of eBay. So it does appear that the books have stirred a certain amount of interest from people who collect them, but we don't really have like a solid offer on all the books. And the books that I took to the bookstore were basically like newer fantasy books that I bought because of YouTube. Sarah J. Maas, like I had a whole box set. I read one book and I was like, this isn't for me. Things like Nevernight and Skyward by Brandon Sanderson, I just wanted to unhaul. So I took them to the bookstore and they were like, we don't really deal in cash. We can give you like an amount and then you can just adjust it by getting new books. And then I was kind of like forced to get new books, which is why I'm calling it an accidental haul. And this is something that I kind of expected because I knew that they usually don't give money back. So I did get around $20 for maybe like 10 books, 10 decent expensive books, but I feel like even that was a fairly decent deal. So I have 6 books to show you and I'm really hoping that I'll be able to focus on them. So these are the 6 books. One of the 6 I've already read, but I got an additional copy. This is The Crow Eaters by Bapsi Sidhwa. And if you're new to this channel, welcome. I recently discovered Bapsi Sidhwa this year, and I believe this copy of The Crow Eaters is the first one published. It was published in 1978 and I believe this is the first edition. So usually I don't keep like multiple copies of books unless like I really like them, and this is an author that I really like, so I just decided to get one. This one cost me about 244 rupees, which is around a little less than $2, so like quite cheap. The next one I picked up is called The House on the Strand by Daphne du Maurier. Now, I don't know much about Daphne du Maurier's work other than Rebecca. I love Rebecca. That's one of those books that I have multiple copies for. So this is one that I've never read, and the thing with bookstores like this is that you will see so many authors who you've heard of, but you don't know where to start with or which is their best work. So I just picked this one. They also had Jamaica Inn, but this is the one that I decided to go with. The next one is Blues for Mr. Charlie by James Baldwin. Now, James Baldwin sort of popped up on my radar even more during the Black Lives Matter movement, which is still ongoing, and I couldn't find any of his books in the bigger bookstores. Like I looked at all the websites and I couldn't really find anything. So I found this one, and I can't tell if it's like a play or a novel, but it's called Blues for Mr. Charlie, and I'm reading it off the spine because the cover is really messed up, but despite that, I decided to get this one. The next one is The Long Valley by John Steinbeck, and Steinbeck is an author who I've read a few books of. I haven't read this particular one. I really like East of Eden, which I have a really beat up copy of that I'm very proud of. I love Of Mice and Men, and I believe it was The Pearl, and I recently got another hard edition, like a hardcover, not a hard edition, of The Grapes of Wrath of someone who was selling it on Instagram. So that hasn't arrived yet, but I just wanted like an older book even for that. So I got The Long Valley, and this is one that I'm interested in checking out because I haven't read it. The next one is Memento Mori by Muriel Spark, and Muriel Spark is again one of those authors who keeps popping up on my radar, and I've heard things about The Driver's Inn or The Driver's Seat, and that's a book that I couldn't find in the shop because I did not have an hour to explore, and I would have loved that kind of time. But I picked up this one and I'm really hoping that it's interesting or at least like a good starting point, and I'm glad that I can get like more of her books because they were available. And the last one, I'm pretty sure Cousin from Always Doing has talked about this on her channel. This is Hiroshima by John Hersey, and I can't remember if she liked it or if she didn't, but I remember putting it on my TBR thinking it would be interesting. If I recall correctly, the author had some sort of like a plagiarism scandal, or maybe I'm just remembering like the wrong things, but this is one that I thought would be really interesting. Let me show you. Yeah, I don't know if that worked or not. So anyway, that's it for this really short videos. My room has been freshly painted, so that's making my eyes hurt a little bit. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys soon.